This week on the Authentic Media Podcast.
Your highest version of yourself looks so different than what you currently see. This whole life that we have is a journey, which is why many of us rebrand. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to see the building before you buy it. Imagine the building before you buy it. Act like it before you have it. God blesses people who are humble enough to embrace everything as if they have enough. So when I wake up in the morning, I don't have to question who I am. I don't have to wonder what I'm doing today. I know who I am. Do you truly believe in yourself and your brand before anyone else does? Hey everyone, it's your host Danielle J. Martin here on the Authentic Media Podcast. Friend, welcome to the show. If it's your first time joining and you have no idea what this podcast is about, Authentic Media is all about helping you develop your brand authentically and from scratch, okay? So if it's your first time joining, you'll go back and see over the series of episodes that we've released so far that we talk about different ways to release your brand, how to launch a personal brand. I've been bringing on different types of experts, and also I've been sharing my story along the way because if you don't know anything about me, I've recently rebranded myself within the last year and still in the process of doing so. And I decided to take my audience on the journey with me and kind of talk you through what I've been learning along the way. So if it's your first time, I'm so excited to have you here. If you are a returning listener, honey, you already know how we do it here, okay? So we're about to dive into a really hot topic that has been stirring my spirit, like honestly, for the last 6 months. And so if I could just be candid with you, you already know I'm always transparent, okay? But we're gonna get real deep, okay? So if you don't have a pen and paper, I encourage you to do so because one of the things I do love to do on this episode is I like to give you like practical tips and strategies, not only share my story, but also give you strategies and different ways and tools and resources that you can actually apply today to your life and to your business, okay? So we are going to be diving into really I would say like my word of the year, okay? I haven't really released this yet, but I would say my word of the year is, are you ready? Drum roll. Is belief, okay? The Lord has like honestly implanted that word in me, I would say since 2024, but it's been coming back up. And if you recently saw, I put out this video, I think it was about a couple weeks ago around when was the last time that you believed in something that you've never seen before? Let me tell you guys, the more I started to think about this, I said, oh my gosh, like belief is actually a little bit bigger than we think that it is. It really is a foundational piece to who you are as an individual, to who you are as you're creating your business, as you are becoming the best version of yourself. Like belief is actually that foundational like piece that you need to actually build upon. And so I said, you know what? We need to actually talk about this, but not actually talk about this. I actually want to give you, again, some tactics, some strategies, and tie this into how to build a personal brand, okay? So if you haven't already, I encourage you to go back and listen to the last 9 episodes, and you'll hear a lot more about my story, who I am, where I come from, and honestly, how I got to this space and what this journey is looking like. So one of the things that you'll learn about me is I'm very candid, I'm very transparent, and anytime that I learn something, I immediately want to share it with my audience. I want to share it with you because I feel like knowledge is free, knowledge is golden. If I can learn something, why not share it, right? And so I think the beautiful part about what God has done in my life is give me grace and patience. But not only that, but he has given me wisdom. And so, honey, I will tell you that I'm day by day, like stepping into this power of just whenever he gives me a word, like speak it. Because majority of the time, your words that you are given are not for you. The words that you are given are really for someone else. And so even though I've been on this journey and hearing this word over and over and over, it's like, dang, how many people are actually struggling with this identity of like, one, not truly believing in yourself. And maybe that's why you're having a hard time getting clear and getting clarity around what you're supposed to do and getting really clear about scaling the business, getting clear on what's next in your business, getting clear on actually how to start the podcast, how to start the business. You are having such a hard time because you're not doing the work, or maybe you're actually like not doing the inner work. And that inner work starts with digging really deep into who you are as an individual. Okay, so I encourage you to go back and listen to those 9 episodes because you'll hear other people's journeys. You'll hear where I came from, but more importantly, you'll hear from experts who have been doing this for a very long time. And so anytime I'm sitting here talking to you one-on-one, it's truly because there has been a word that has been put on me and I want to share it with you. And I want to have just like this one-on-one time with you. So, if you would like to join me, okay, keep on listening because I have a special word for you. I have a word for you that is truly going to unlock everything that you've been trying to figure out, that's going to unlock the thoughts, unlock the different perspective you've been searching for, unlock just everything that you've been trying to figure out. What is this thing? How can I truly like get to the next level of my life, of my business, but you can't figure it out, okay? So I encourage you, grab a pen and paper because you already know how I am. I already like to give you strategies and tactics and tools and everything, okay? So this whole episode is truly going to be around the foundational piece that you need to launch a personal brand. If you are already a business owner and you have a brand and you want to rebrand, or if you are a business owner and you're like, there's something about my business or there's something about me that has evolved, that has changed, and I actually want to represent myself as this person of who I am today, this episode is for you, okay? And so I say that because there's so many business owners that I'm currently in conversation with, and they're trying to rebrand. They're trying to say, hey, I know the first 5 years of my business looked like this, but I actually now want to pivot and I want to represent myself like this. That's great, okay? Because we're gonna dive into the different ways you can actually show up online and off of line. But I encourage you first to do the inner work. Some people might say, Danielle, I've been doing this for 5 years. I know who I am and I know how to get there. Okay, well, now that you are a different person today, it's going to require you to do something different. And I say that because what worked back then is not going to work today, okay? And so going back to the word belief, if you truly believe in yourself, then the steps that you're going to take moving forward are going to be so easy, right? So if you are launching from scratch, or if you have a brand and you want to rebrand, stay with me because we're going to dive into the best ways you can build off of the foundation of belief. You guys ready? Okay, so I'm so excited about this. The number one thing that you have to keep in mind is belief is the foundation of a strong brand. Okay, and so if you've been watching the last couple of videos I've been posting on social media, one of the things that God has been consistently speaking to me last year and this year is that when was the last time that you believed in something that you've never seen before? Think about that question one more time. When was the last time that you believed in something that you've never seen before, right? Okay, so that requires faith, right? And so what is faith exactly? Faith is the substance of seeing things that you have not seen before. Okay. And so when you truly are in a space of creating and building and rebranding, you really have to go back to the basics of writing things out, right? Like putting things on paper, making things come to light. And I'm not saying like create a vision board. If that works for you to visually see it, great. But truly like believing in yourself, I really believe starts with the inner work and understanding like who you are as an individual. Who are you today, right? And I say that because when I think back to Danielle, like, oh, honey, like 2-3 years ago, and who I am today, it's like two different individuals, right? Now, some people might say, well, like, yes, like that was the younger version of you, and like this is the older version. And of course, right? But even when I think back to myself 6 months ago, like the person I was 6 months ago and who I am today are so different, meaning like my belief and my faith are just on a whole different level, right? And so going back to the belief is the foundation of a strong brand, in order for you to receive what God has on your life, you have to believe in it before anyone else does. You have to see it before anyone else does. That means that if God has given you a business, if He has given you a podcast, if He has given you the craft and the gift to do something that nobody else does, and it has not been done before, but it's on your mind, it's on like your thoughts, like you can't sleep at night because you are constantly thinking about this thing, this dream, this business, this podcast, this book. You're constantly thinking about the thing, right? It's because it's in you. Like it is truly supposed to be something that you, out of all people, out of like billions of people on this planet, you are supposed to do it. Okay, like there's something about you that God has called you to create it. God has called you to write the book. God has called you to launch the course. He has called you to speak. He has called you to open the gym. He has called you to go out and literally save many people who can't save themselves. You are called to do it. But if other people are pouring into you before you are believing in yourself, you're going to get to a space where you are no longer going to be able to operate or be able to move forward because the belief was never there. So, building a strong foundation on belief is asking yourself, okay, do I truly believe in the calling that is on my life? It's like really asking yourself that. And if not, it's okay. You pray about it. You meditate on it. You ask God for encouragement. You ask God to remind you, why have you called me to do this? What is it about me that you like? What is it about me that can actually move forward in this way, right? And I truly believe that He will affirm it through people. He will affirm it through videos. He will affirm it in any way that you receive God. Like He will affirm it to you. But you have to start with the belief and understanding that in order to relaunch, in order to show up authentically, in order to show who you are, like the real you, like who you are behind closed doors, like in order to do that, like you have to truly believe. And when I say believe, I mean like believe when nobody is looking, believe when nobody believes in what you're doing yourself, right? Like you have to understand like the road to success is lonely. So if you get there by yourself and as you're climbing and no one is with you, that's belief. Like you got to keep going, right? And so I just encourage you to first ask yourself, why do I believe in myself? What is it about me that is capable of doing this? And I'll be honest, and I'll just answer the question myself so you can understand like how to really process this. But I truly believe in the calling on my life because God has consistently reminded me that this calling is just for me. God has consistently reminded me and put me honestly in spaces, in places, in seasons where I had no other choice. I had no one else to lean on but Him. And so when I think about believing in something I've never seen before, it always gives me chills. It always brings tears to my eyes when I see God use women by giving them the blessing that they've been praying for after infertility for months, and seeing a mother literally now have children. And when I see a young lady who's been single for 12 years and now has been blessed with a husband, and when I see after toxic relationship after toxic relationship, now this young lady is met with a healthy relationship, when I see the goodness of God, that is what stirs my belief. And so when you have to just go back and think about, okay, when was the last time God really did something that I did not expect? That is when you really start to understand, okay, does that light and does that walk align with what I'm trying to believe over here in this area about myself? So truly ask yourself that. Number 2, personal growth happens alongside brand development. Okay, so what I love about this point is that as you are building your brand, you have to truly be in the process of growing yourself on a daily basis. And I say that because when you are building a business, and I'll just use myself as an example, you are going to be tested. There's going to be trials and tribulations. There's going to be times where people are going to test your character, test your beliefs, your faiths, your values, and really try to see, are you who you say you are? And if you have gone through the process of healing, of truly understanding who you are as an individual, as a business owner, as an employee, if you've truly taken the time to truly understand, okay, you know what, I do know who I am. And if I were to be tested, I'm going to be okay. And so I think the beauty about those tests is that it makes you stronger, but it truly does reveal what parts of you that need to heal. Okay. And so really quick, I want to insert a clip from one of my favorite virtual mentors. I think I mentioned this in a previous episode, Chris Do. He talks about what true personal branding is. Take a look at this.
Personal branding for me is a process of discovering who you are and getting in touch with that and healing from this trauma that we feel like we don't even understand that we have. We're raised by imperfect people and then we become imperfect people too.
One of my favorite quotes, honestly, about personal branding. And I say that because it's we might as well just say personal branding is literally personal growth. Seriously, because you have to address your trauma. Some people are trying to separate personal branding from personal growth when really they have the word personal in it. Personal branding. It's about you. So you have to know who you are. It sounds redundant. It sounds like I'm repeating myself. I am, because there's thousands of people who are on here who don't know who they are. There's 40-year-olds, there's 50-year-olds, there's 60-year-olds, there's many people who are in their older years who are out here unclear about who they are. So you have an advantage to take time to literally sit still, be still, and figure out what parts of you need to heal. So when it's time for you to speak, when it's time for you to get in front of the camera, when it's time for you to get on stage, when it's time for you to address questions or address issues or political issues in the world or wherever you are called to speak, whatever it is, you have the confidence to do it because you're I know who I am and I know what I stand for. That's it. And so for me, my values and my foundational beliefs is God. It is the Bible, okay? It is understanding the principles of the Bible, understanding that yes, I am out here free as I can be. When I say my girlfriend the other day said, wow, I can see your transformation. I can hear your transformation. Danielle, you really sound free. I said, yes, because I've taken the time to heal. I've taken the time to really sit with myself and ask myself, what is it about this area of my life that I don't like? Why do I feel lonely sometimes? What is it about this space of loneliness that makes me feel sad, right? It's like literally like peeling back the layers and asking yourself, what is it about my hair or my face or makeup, whatever the case may be, but like, what is it about this specific area that I don't like about myself? What parts of my family do I don't like, but I need to have the conversation, right? What areas of my friendships that are filled with joy, but there's certain holes and there's gaps, and I don't really like this part about my friend, but I need to have that conversation. It's like literally addressing the elephant in the room that I think many of us are trying to avoid because it's comfortable to just be comfortable with toxicity. Like it's just comfortable to be like just comfortable with whatever it is. Like this is how it's been. This is how it is. But you're not comfortable because a part of you is diminishing yourself because you rather stay committed or you rather just not wrestle with whatever is being displayed to you because you're like, you know what? I'd rather just like stick to whatever this is because I don't like conflict. You rather stick to being in a complacent space because it doesn't require you to address the conflict. But my friend, I'm telling you, you're not going to grow if you just keep marrying the conflict that is keeping you exactly where you are. So address the conflict in the room. Address the issues that are overwhelming you in certain areas, whether it's in business, whether it's in friendships, whatever conversations that you're having with certain people. If you feel like an ick in your stomach, if you feel like there's something in you like tussling in your stomach or in your chest, whatever it is that's in your body, let me tell you, the body does not lie, okay? And so whatever it is that is coming up within you, it is a sign that you need to communicate that I am not well. There's something wrong here. So if you are a business owner and you are rebranding, okay, I encourage you to ask yourself the hard questions because who you are today is a lot different than who you were before. If you are starting from scratch and you don't know where to start with yourself. Get clear on who you are. And then I encourage you, for everyone listening out there, create a mission statement for yourself. There's many of businesses that have mission statements, right? You hear about mission statements, you hear about, our mission is to blah, 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 whatever the case may be, right? When was the last time that you've created a mission statement for yourself? I challenge you to do that because when you understand what your mission is on earth, you will have every clear roadway and understanding on what to say yes to, what to say no to, where to spend your time, where you don't have to extend your boundaries, but understand, hey, like this is my boundaries and I'm okay with this. You don't have to feel sorry about anything, okay? Like I encourage you to create a mission statement for yourself, my friend, because you are gonna feel more powerful in the end when you have so much clarity on who you are.
Your brand deserves more than just a selfie. It deserves a vision captured perfectly. Hi, I'm Danielle J. Martin, and I'm here to help you create a visual identity that creates a lasting impression. So whether you're launching a business or you're enhancing your presence or you're rebranding, your photos are your first impression. So our brand photo shoots aren't just for you to take pretty pictures, but they're for you to tell your story, build trust, and connect with your audience in a whole different way. So if you're ready to elevate your brand that creates a lasting impression, go ahead and click that link down below.
Okay, moving on down the list. When it comes to launching your brand or relaunching your brand, these are 5 key areas that you need to keep in mind when it comes to launching, okay? So, number 3, believe it before you see it. I'm sure you've heard it before. It's a very casual saying, but seriously, it goes back to faith. Believe it before you see it. When you are in the process of putting together, let's say your professional photos, your website, you are going to have to envision yourself in a new realm. Okay. It may sound different for many of you out there, but it definitely is true. You may have to envision yourself in a new realm. Your highest version of yourself looks so different than what you currently see. And I say that because this whole life that we have is a journey. This whole life that we have is literally us learning lessons along the way, which is why many of us rebrand. Think about it. When I was first launching this podcast, I think back to who I was at the time, right? Just a very different individual, young lady, still trying to figure it out. I was still in the news industry. I was trying to literally just do the day-to-day things. And I was just honestly doing a podcast with no strategy, no system, just interviewing people for fun. It was a great start, right? Like it was just something that was a really good hobby at the time. And so now, fast forward, I would say 5 to 6 years later, I've evolved since then. And so rebranding for me was so personal that I said, you know what? I'm not going to hide any of the scars. I'm not going to hide the journey. I'm not going to hide anything because one, I think hiding is what keeps everyone in this space of fear. Okay. And we're going to get to that space in a second. But hiding keeps everyone in a space of fear. And which is interesting because really fear is like nothing. It's what we create in our mind because fear is false evidence appearing real. But when I think back to who I was back then, I was striving to be a person that everyone wanted me to be. I was striving to be a person that was, all put together. I had all the answers. I dressed really nice. I knew everything. My life was just everything that people imagined. And I think it just really came from a mindset that I took on when I was younger. So it was like an identity cap that I just held on and was walking through life like, this is who I am. And it was so crazy because I embodied the identity so much that I believed it to be true. And so it's interesting because going back to, I wanted this journey to be so open and I wanted to bring people along with the rebrand. So you can see that I'm still walking through this, clearly. I'm still processing things. I'm still trying to shed off the pieces of me that were put on me when I was younger. I'm still trying to walk in the boldness that, God has put on my life and not be afraid to, say things I may not fully understand or get, but say, hey, I'm still walking through this. I'm still processing this thought, but I want to share it with you, right? And so I think being open and vulnerable and just not having fear around communicating with people because we are all trying to figure it out. That's the thing. We're all trying to figure it out. But I think we want to have it all figured out before we get out there, before we put ourselves out there. We want to have it all figured out. What if God chose you to reveal your story, reveal your journey as you are walking through it? What if God chose you to do that? What if you have been chosen to write the book, do the podcast, but along the way, record your journey and include your audience along the way? Now, some people, you are meant to be in hidden seasons. I 100% agree with that. I truly believe in seasons where you are really supposed to be hidden and you're supposed to be in obscurity and you're not supposed to be seen, you're not supposed to be heard, and you're truly just supposed to be spending time with God. 100%. But speaking to the people who you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to see the building before you buy it. Imagine the building before you buy it. Imagine getting to a certain amount of money and wealth before you have it. Act like it before you have it. Become it before you have it, right? So going back to my point of believing it before seeing it, because I truly believe that God blesses people who are humble enough to embrace everything as if they have enough. But if you are waiting to have a partner, if you're waiting to have a specific lifestyle, if you're waiting to have a specific business, if you're waiting to have a specific income, honey, you're never going to be satisfied. Believe in what you have and know that it's enough. And if you want more, there is nothing wrong with that. But it's also being humble enough to say, God, if this is all you have given me, I am good. Like, I am satisfied. I am good with everything that I have. And there's also a song that goes with it. Like, oh my gosh, I've been singing it lately. You will with me through the lows and pick me up. You pick me up. I'm grateful. Okay. Anyways, the song Grateful by Dante Bowie and Friday is amazing. Highly encourage you to listen to it. But it talks about if you did not do, hold on, let me get the lyrics before I just start making up stuff. If you never did another thing, you did enough. You were with me through the lows and picked me up, and I'm so grateful for all you've done. I'm not lacking, I'm not empty or in need, haven't seen every promise, but I know that you are good. You're more than enough. So that song has been like my anthem for the last couple of weeks, but it really has like put me in this mindset that like, honestly, like everything that I have is enough and I'm so good. And if you are a person who is thinking to yourself, yeah, but there are some things that I really like want God to work through and help me through. Okay, I understand. And I understand there's no judgment. We listen and we don't judge. Okay, I understand. All right. But friend, I encourage you, ask yourself, why do you want those things? Like truly, like why do you want those things? Are they going to help you? Are you going to go somewhere with that? Like what is that going to do for you? Like truly, like peel back the layer on if God were to bless me with X, Y, and Z, what would that do for me? Okay, moving on to number 4, faith over fear. Okay, so earlier I mentioned fear and how fear means false evidence appearing real. It is a mindset. It is something that we create in our mind. And I truly mean this because I truly believe that there's a lot of people living in fear right now. First of all, I understand that right now we are in a very unprecedented time. There's a lot of things happening in this world that is scary. I truly understand that. But this is the time that I encourage, if you do not believe in anything, I highly encourage that you believe in Jesus Christ and that you find something to believe in, because when I say that the Holy Spirit loves you and he's real and Jesus Christ is real, like I encourage you to believe in him because he still sees you. He is waiting for you to accept him for who he is, okay? But in this time, it is very easy to adopt the mindset of fear. But I truly believe, friend, that God did not give us the spirit of fear, okay? It is in his word that God did not give us the spirit of fear, but he gave us the power of love and a sound mind and also self-discipline, okay? So I encourage you to surround yourselves with people that love you and that a strong community that can encourage you to stay on the path that you're supposed to be on. But just know that like the fear that you think that you have or that's over you, like I rebuke that. It's not even real. It's something that you have adopted or implanted or whatever. It's something that you are creating. Okay? And so when I say faith over fear, going back to belief, it's understanding that as you are growing into the person that you are called to be, there are going to be times and challenges where you're going to have to make decisions and you're going to have to truly like decide, am I going to be able to do, this project or that project? Am I going to have time to show up for that friend versus this friend? I think you're going to have to really make a strong decision on what aligns with your values, what aligns with your mission, what aligns with where God is trying to take you versus where you're trying to be. And I think you can't be all things all the time. You can't be all things to all people. So I encourage you to take that time to figure out like, okay, this project is actually aligned with where I'm trying to go. This other project, not so much. I want to do it, but maybe there's another way I can be a part of it without me having to pour 100% in it. Maybe I can pour 20% in it versus 100, right? Like there's different ways to divvy up your time there. But when I say faith over fear, I truly mean like when you are looking at your projects, you're looking at your business, there's gonna be times where things look so much bigger than you. Your dream looks bigger than you. The vision that God has given you is bigger than you. And you are asking yourself, how am I going to achieve this? How? How am I going to get to this like space in my life? How am I going to create on this level? How am I going to actually open this building? How am I actually going to write this book? How am I actually going to meet these people so I can get into those types of rooms, right? Like, how am I actually going to launch this podcast? How am I actually going to leave this job? How am I actually going to launch the business? Like, you have all of these questions that seem bigger than you. And I think that sometimes it seems bigger than you because you haven't taken the time to just make it a little bit smaller. When I say make it small, I don't mean make your vision small. I mean literally like backcast. Okay, so there's this term called backcasting, which essentially just means that if you were to start with the end in mind and work yourself backwards and figure out, okay, if I'm supposed to open a building, let's say in 12 months, right? Well, a couple of questions you should ask yourself is like, how much is the building, right? How much is the rent? Does the building need to be renovated? How much money am I going to need to sustain it, right? It's like asking yourself all of these different questions before you even think to yourself, how am I going to open this building? It's like listing out all of the questions, right? And getting clear on every single one of them. So then all of your fear, quote unquote, or all the questions you have get answered. And then that clarity brings confidence. Okay, so thank you for sticking with me. We have one more point, and that is strengthen your belief. So this whole episode is around belief, believing in something you've never seen before. The number one thing that I do, I'm going to give you one of my secrets. It's something I'm sure you've heard of, is affirmations. I promise you the amount of sticky notes that I have in my bathroom on my desk at home is sticky notes all over, plastered everywhere with affirmations, reminding myself who I am, what I'm doing, what my mission is consistently. It is everywhere. I'm literally surrounding myself with affirmations. So when I wake up in the morning, I don't have to question who I am. I don't have to wonder what I'm doing today. I don't have to wonder, like, who am I going to be today? I know who I am. Affirm yourself in the word by knowing who you are, right? And so I think it starts with surrounding yourself with the word, but truly believing it at the same time, okay? Community is another one. It's another way that you can strengthen your belief. Find friends, and I hope you have friends in your circle that are reminding yourself of who you are and like pumping yourself up and encouraging you and motivating you. One of my good friends, Michaela, like, let me tell you, we are always pumping each other up. We're always like, you're a what? Not a 2. You're a number 1, not a number 2. Okay? Like, we are consistently encouraging each other. And so I hope that you have that. And if not, if your friends are not encouraging you like that, like hyping you up, sis, it's time to chop them off. Okay? It's time to chop them off. Okay. And then last but not least, this is one you're probably going to be surprised, but monitor your stimulation. Strengthening your belief is monitoring your stimulation. What does that mean? Okay, so one of the things that I've realized about myself is that if I am doing a lot, meaning if I'm super active, if I'm listening to multiple podcasts, a lot of music, TV, I'm overstimulated, honey. Let me tell you, like my brain is like, there's so much in my brain that I can't think. And so monitoring that is very important because you are then now being aware of what you're hearing, of what you're listening to, what's coming in your brain, what's coming in your ears, what you're seeing. All of that is strengthening your belief. And I say that because the amount of distractions, let me tell you, the amount of distractions on this phone is going to keep you from doing what you're called to do. It is the number one distraction that you have. So another tool that I will drop right here is that Mike Todd. He is doing a sermon series around distraction, death to distraction, honey. And let me tell you, it is a really good, powerful series. I would never name drop a sermon series if I was not serious about it. But when I say that there is constant distraction in this time more than ever. So I highly encourage that you go watch the sermon series because when I say that it has been blessing me, honey, it's been blessing me. But in the meantime, you guys, I hope that you got at least one tip from this podcast, okay? All around belief, whether you are launching your brand from scratch or rebranding, I encourage you to believe in something that you've never seen before. But hey, if you are interested in any of the photo shoots that we are putting out there, the packages, hey, don't be afraid to DM me. It is the perfect time to get started. There's never a time to start too late, okay? Your time is right now. In the meantime, if there's something that you're interested in, that you're like, Danielle, I want to hear you talk a little bit more about that, go ahead, drop a comment down below. I'll share, my little perspective behind it. But in the meantime, my friend, thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time.
Thanks for watching the Authentic Media Podcast YouTube. At Authentic Media Company, our mission is to help you develop an authentic brand so you can make the impact that you are called to make. If you got anything from today's episode, make sure you drop a comment down below. I'm interested to see what your takeaways are. And if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel so you can be the first to know when we drop our newest episode. In the meantime, have a great day.